ये यहाँ कोई चिमटी है नहीं तू। अरे लड़की, अरे लड़किया, अरे लड़कुआ। सब सब काम को क्या 10 मिनट का है बस। जाओ रोज का 10 मिनट और कर लो। आने वाला है बस 10 बजे स्टार्ट हुआ था 5 मिनट में। काहे का करें। तो यही तो लापरवाही है तुम्हारी। काल कर क्या हुए थे, रख दिया मुझे काल। इसके नीचे तो नहीं डाल दिया मामी। अब हल्ला न करना थोड़ी देर, बीच में खटर खटर करने लगते हो। ना अगर नहीं मिले पर ये होंगे फिर कितने कागज। मैं ऐसे लापरवाही तो भाई एक जगह। मैं कुछ नहीं कर पाऊँ। अरे मैं पूछ रही हूँ क्या अरे एक दो सर में रहेंगे तो थोड़ा ज्यादा यहाँ इसके नीचे देख लो जानवी। भावनी इसमें तो कुछ आ ही नहीं रहा। ये भावनी इसमें तो कुछ आ ही नहीं रहा 10 बजे। कोई ऐसा तो नहीं कोई और लिंक को 3 का करना जाने। नहीं जी उन्होंने कोई नया भी नहीं भेजा अभी। यही भेजा तो वही है। नहीं यही होगा अभी 53 हुआ है आ जाएंगे। हाँ कपड़े वपड़े जब चेंज कर वहां से। जानवी बताओ। तो और सब काम पहले जगह में रखा। जो चीज जो है जो जगह में रखा। हमारे साथ 50 काम होते हैं तो क्यों ऐसा करती और बड़ा बेवकूफ नहीं। फर्जी के चीजें निकालती है। और जहाँ भावनी तुम 10 बार गई है पराठे एक पॉलिथीन में के ऊपर डाला हो फ्रिज में। ओ भावनी जानवी को बुला जानवी यहाँ तू तक यहाँ यहाँ कर दी। तो पॉलिथीन उठा पीछे पॉलिथीन है। पॉलिथीन उठा पीछे पॉलिथीन दिख रही है। हाँ एक पॉलिथीन में ये पराठे इसको ऊपर रखते हैं। अब हल्ला ना मचाना यहाँ पर। एकदम चुप हो जाना। 10 बज गया। जानवी यहाँ तो
Hello, Giriji. This is Professor Tarun.
20 स्टार्ट करें।
अभी कोई और आया नहीं, आई बिलीव।
ये आया नहीं लग रहा है।
हाँ,
आवाज
तो
आ रही
वेट।
है मेरी, देखिए।
आवाज आ रही है, बस हम दो ही हैं तो थोड़ा रुक जाते हैं। अभी वैसे भी 9:58 है।
ठीक है, ठीक है, ठीक। जानवी, जानवी बेटा। हेलो जी।
गिरीश जी, आप शुरू करें।
हाँ जी।
आप शुरू करें। आप दो 10-2 तो हो चुके हैं, क्या करें?
हेलो। हाँ जी।
शुरू कर सकते हैं गिरीश जी।
कर सकते हैं।
हाँ, आई थिंक 10:02 हो गए हैं। अब जो आना होगा आता रहेगा, नहीं तो लेट हो।
ठीक है, चलिए, ठीक। तो आज एक निर्गुण बंदिश सुना रहा हूँ।
साफ नहीं आ रही। साउंड फुल है। साउंड तो फुल है। ये क्या आ गया? वो सिग्नल नहीं साफ आ रहा।
आवाज आई आज?
आवाज बहुगुना जी आई नहीं, बहुत हल्की थी।
आवाज नहीं आई?
हाँ, बहुत हल्की थी, आवाज क्लियर नहीं थी।
चलिए।
पहले तो ये बात कि ये म्यूजिक क्यों दे रहे हैं, ये एसएम का प्रोग्राम है, इससे म्यूजिक कहाँ से आ गया?
हैं?
ये एसएम स्ट्रेटेजिक मैनेजमेंट का कोर्स है, फैकल्टी डेवलपमेंट प्रोग्राम। इसमें म्यूजिक कहाँ से आया, लोगों को ये पता नहीं है अभी। म्यूजिक इसलिए आया है तरुण,
जी सर।
म्यूजिक इसलिए आया है कि ग्रेजुअली आई वांट टू डेवलप वीडियोस हाउ टू टीच एसएम म्यूजिकली।
ओके।
राइट।
नाउ people are having problem in attending because they are disinterested. So how to have a short video to create curiosity in them that they must attend and attend the full session and actively participate to understand their learning. Now, I have done it, 3, 4 videos I have made. I'll show you some of them. But I hope today's session those who do not attend, they should be able to gauge how and how much they are losing. Tarun, is that it?
Sir. Yes, sir.
If
Hopefully.
people find there is benefit in attending, then they will attend. If they find there is no benefit, they have better utility of their time and efforts by doing something else, which gives them more satisfaction. Simple economic theory, utility theory. Now, here is a case. How the discussion proceeds will decide whether I lose, if so, how much, whether my department loses, if so, how much, whether my family loses, if so, how much, whether my institution loses, if so, how much, whether my economy loses, my education loses, if so, how much. If this economy matters for the country, for the world, if so, how much is the loss? Actually, we are not able to gauge, so we limit to ourselves how much personally I lose. Now, let us see the discussion that proceeds today. Okay.
Sir.
Are we able to estimate that we lose? So, the case we'll start with is Hanumans of India. Has anybody read the case Hanumans of India? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, Janaki and Professor Tarun, you take the lead. And quickly, if you deem fit, you can give a brief. What is this short write-up, one page? And what are the sense of these observations? Okay. So, Tarun, would you like to start?
Sir,
Can
how
I
would you like?
display this in Hindi? Yes, what I do, I'm displaying the Hindi version of it.
Okay. How would you like me to start? You want me to give abstract and discussion on how?
Yes, just a minute. This I'm sharing screen. Okay. Screen in which this write-up will emerge. Are you able to see it?
It's coming, sir.
Acha. Can you quickly read it, and then Tarun will start discussion. If the font is small, I can enlarge and gradually scroll.
वो तो 3:30 बजा रहा था इसके तो जाते जाते पता नहीं क्या करती 3:30 बजा रहा था तेरी माँ के क्या कह रही है पता नहीं क्या कह रही
Mute self not contributing. Oh, have you read? it okay?
Yes, sir.
Shall I stop sharing?
You may, sir.
Now, Tarun, yes.
Good morning, everyone. So, as we have all read this case, I would just want people to start having a discussion on how do you define resources? And moment we talk about resources, how do you convert resources into some sort of a meaningful outcome? Because as this case also says, the different variety of leadership and human resource situation give you various output. So I would like people to have a take on it and then understand, do we really suffer from this Hanuman effect when we don't know what we are really capable of? Please, anyone.
And Tarun, conduct the class as if you are conducting a regular class of PGP.
Right, sir.
Just ask people how much is the capacity of the people to deliver.
Hopefully people participate.
Yes.
Anyone, feel free. Your take on resources after reading this case, capacity to deliver, or what is this capacity as a word for human resource, especially?
Yes.
Okay, Taranji.
Shiv.
Good morning. Ji.
Good morning, Chipji. Thank you.
Good, Ji. So, what I feel that when it comes to define the resources, what is the basis for and what the objective for whom we are defining it? Because different stakeholders have different perspective and view. If you look from the manager side or the owner side or who are in the decision making, they would like to define it in their way. Or if you look at the other side, the employee perspective, they feel they have different parameters. So how we harmonize these two, that is something what becomes important. Even in case of Hanuman, if you see, there are exceptions or maybe by trait they are very productive and effective. But the question here is how much productive is a good level of productivity, and how we reach at this level of good, that defines that how sustainable the organization would be while they are performing. So this is my take on this.
Good. So various perspective, we have to balance those perspective and how much that productivity is sufficient and effort to qualify. I believe that's what Shivji was talking about. Now, if we take it forward, then we need to understand in terms of how do you balance this? You're saying multiple approaches to call something as a resources. And then how do you convert the resources into some meaningful output? And how do you measure that if this meaningful output is equivalent to call something as an asset, or how do you take it forward? So Shivji or anybody else can come in. Please feel free.
I would say many a times what we see is we do have the resources, but having the resources does not really mean that we are able to realize the full potential of these resources. So when we say we have to look into different perspectives, more than that, there is something that is there at the underlying level. And what underlies is the understanding of the leader. Many a times what we see is it is actually the surface, or maybe it is the tip of the iceberg, but whatever is there is much more below it. So what is there at the tip of the iceberg? At the tip of the iceberg are all those structures that have been created. But beneath the iceberg, there is a lot of energy. There is a lot of mass. There is a lot of strength. Now, this specific strength should be realized. Especially writing when we talk about this Hanuman effect, probably where we come from is these resources in the form of Hanuman, they always existed, they were there, but realization of these resources was a very important task until and unless it is understood by the leader and the leader is able to put it across the organization, all what we want is what we cannot probably realize. And the moment we are able to put all of this, we might be in a position to realize maybe even 10 times of what we wanted to realize. But for this, if we look at what we were talking about in the last classes also, the last connects also, we said that the communication has to be very well set up. Communication means whatever the leader thinks, and what the leader thinks comes from the vision. It percolates down to the mission, which percolates down to the policies, which percolates down to the strategies. So the moment there is a clarity in that, and all the clarity, it is also provided and it is also put up within the resources of the organization, especially the human resource. The moment the human resource is in unison, we are in a position to realize what we want. So I think that is where I would like to put up what Tarunji has just now tried and what Shivji initiated onto that. That's how I would like. Thank you.
Great, Ajay ji.
Ajay ji. Can I put it?
Yeah, please, sir.
Tarun.
Sir.
Can I put a concrete question? How many people were required for running a batch size of 30? How many non-teaching staff were required to run a batch size of 30? There were 30 non-teaching staff for a batch of 30.
Right.
When it became 100, even then non-teaching staff was 30.
Yes.
That means non-teaching staff could perform to meet the requirements of 100. Isn't it?
Yes.
Because there was no increase in non-teaching staff. Exactly same way, the teaching staff also did not increase. That means the human resource in terms of teaching and non-teaching staff had potential to meet the requirement of 100. But they thought they can meet the requirement of 30 only. How it happens? How do you know whether 30 people and 30 faculty members can meet the requirement of 30 students or 100 students or 120 students or 180 students or 240 students or 300 students? How do you know? The data gives the fact. It has happened, so nobody can deny. It could be 400 also, I don't know. But data says something which we assumed is a resource requirement for 30 student batch size. Really, in terms of manpower, it had the capability of meeting the requirement of 300 people. That means we have the idea that whatever is the capability of the people to perform, we feel that is only 10%. So 90% resource is going unutilized. Isn't it? 90% resource is going unutilized. Now, let's go to the actually how much we lose. Who is losing by non-realization of this?
Sir, institute for sure. Then, of course, the staff for sure, because, they don't learn much and they cannot expand their horizons of whatever expertise that they have. And, of course, the government, the nation, and the students primarily, sir, because so many will not get the provision to get admitted.
270 students did not get admission.
So
and
a big
the
loss there.
And, and the institute was created to meet the growing manpower requirements of the country.
Yes.
90% of the requirement we did not realize we could meet.
True, true.
Isn't
And
it?
the fact that their income
And therefore,
rises.
to meet the requirement, the institute was set up for meeting the requirement of the country. It did not even occur. And we felt we don't have a human resource. Human resource was there. Other resources might not have been there, but human resource was there. We did not realize the potential. We don't realize the potential of Professor Shiv Tripathi. We don't realize the potential of Professor Tarun Gupta. We don't realize the potential of faculty members in various IIMs. They were there. That is how we were able to conduct faculty development program, making use of faculty members in different organizations, because we had never assessed how much is the resource available to us. So unwittingly, we lose. Now, can anybody quantify in rupee terms how much we lost? Assume that the fees is 1 lakh rupees. If you get fees of 30 students, how much money you have?
30 lakhs.
30 lakhs. If it becomes 100,
1 crore.
100.
30 crores, 3 crores.
1 lakh. Sir, 1 crore.
1 crore? 1 lakh, 1 crore. Okay. And if it is 300, then revenue
3
is 3
crores.
Then it
crores.
is 3 crores.
And do you know how much would have been the incremental cost? Maybe 1 crore. So we lost 2 crores cash also. And that is annual. If you don't do it for 10 years, the loss could be 20 crores. Now, if you have this kind of loss, how will it generate investable surplus? So you'll always be begging, I'll need resources from some party. First, I thought it will be government. Government says, I don't have, so they think it should be from others. Let's have FDI. Is it a crisis of resource, or is it a crisis of non-realization of resources that are at our disposal? It is this problem that organizations often face. With 30 people available who could deliver for 300 students batch size, and that means they are utilized only 10%, 90% what they will do? They are idle. So what they will do? What they will do? They'll create chit-chatting, politicking, and all kind of rubbish will start.
They may even undo what they have done.
People, precisely. Not only they won't do, they won't let others also do. So if they have 4 economics faculty out of 30 and 3 marketing faculty, 4 economics faculty out of the 2 are idle, and 2 marketing faculty who are overloaded, they will not allow even them to work. It is this problem we face. So when there is idle manpower, a resource not utilized is not an asset, it's a big, big liability. Irrespective of which resource we are talking, we can go for generalization. Any resource which is acquired or developed, if it is not utilized, it's not an asset. And if we are having bad luck, it may turn out to be a big liability. This is illustration of human resource. Now, unfortunately, from here we can take discussion by OB people. OB expert may say, how do you generate it? And it looks very simple. Human resource is one resource. The more you utilize, the more it increases. Because at every interaction, at every delivery, it acquires, it learns something new. That is why we say learning curve. It learns something new, which creates potential for future growth. It's not like building, that if you have a building for 30 students, if you have 100 students, building will expand. But a faculty which has, or a staff, which is subject to 30 students only, they don't even learn how to cope with 100. So human resource, I found, an extremely interesting resource akin to Vidyadan Mahadan. Why? The more you donate, the more it grows. The more you donate, the more it grows. That is, Gyan is the only thing, the moment you utilize it increases. There is no other resource which increases when you utilize it. Isn't it? Now, then the question is, how do you assess whether what we have is enough or there is more to it? Suppose 8 faculty members are. Acha, before I forget, Ajay and Dr. Wang and Krishnamohan, why we are conducting this program? Why we are conducting this program? If a person does not attend, what is at stake? Does he lose anything? Why
Of
we are
course,
conducting this program?
sir,
Yes.
one thing that I realized was, this, especially this subject, strategic management as a discipline, if it has to emerge, then I think, it is important for such FDPs to be organized, which are based on real time experiences by people like you. It's not hypothetical, it is not imaginary. It was done and it had proved and it had resulted in something good. And of course, leveraging technology, how we can leverage technology, right, in today's time. And maybe we are limiting it to 300. God knows we can extend it to 3,000. Okay. So,
Precisely.
yeah. So I think,
8,000, Professor, 8,000.
yeah. So
It
that
is
is where
possible.
the real potential is. And unfortunately, what we are falling prey to is, uh, basing our decisions on the past experiences. Okay, and that is
And
where the entire, we fall into that trap. Okay, because other institutions have this, we should also have this. Okay, and other institutions have started with 30, I should also start with 30. And nobody is willing to take that risk.
and it's
So
very
ultimately,
interesting,
it boils
Professor
down to risk
Bang.
taking.
Let me share something even more. Let me share something even more interesting. The
Yeah.
batch size of 30 was started not because we did not have model of batch size of 60. All 3 IMs were having model of 60. Batch size of 30 was started because there was no room available in the city of Lucknow which could accommodate 60 students. So 30 students. And then we started justifying, if we make 30 to 60, quality will go down. If we make from 30 to 100, quality will go down. All these were justifications given to perpetuate. So we start with something, then we start perpetuating with that. And that is what Newton learned from us, law of inertia. We start with a thing and continue till some big force is applied to move it. And the big force was minister said, I have no money to give you, earn your salary. You know why we wait for that? 8 faculty members are here today. We did not have 8 faculty members when IIM Lucknow started. And we had audacity. Our director, Professor they all had audacity that on 26th of July, the institute is registered as a society. In October, director is appointed. In January, he physically joins. And November, it is declared that IIM Lucknow is going to take the first batch of PGP in 85. October, the director is appointed, and July, the full batch is coming. Everything is to be arranged in the meantime. We had that audacity. And when things became settled, placement is also okay, staff is also okay, then we stuck at 30. So we don't revalue our assets unless pushed to do that. And that is the essence of strategic management. Why should we have a formal exercise of resource evaluation, reevaluation? 10 years ago, we did not have internet. Today, Krishna Kumar, as a retired person, can think of conducting FDP. 10 years ago, it was not possible because I needed infrastructure. Huge expense of coming to institute, journey expense, time expense, everything for sharing 1 hour knowledge. The days have changed. Now, can somebody take another leap of imagination what this group of just 8 people can do for the world? Ajay, any comment? Ajay, you have initiated something. Any comment?
Sir, before that, I want to say 2 points about this case itself.
Yes, Janaki. Yes, Janaki.
Sir, so this is the case of an IIM, which is funded by the central government, etc. And that is why we have seen, or we might have seen, so much of unutilization of resource. But sir, today what we see in private institutions is quite the opposite of this, what is discussed in this case, wherein resources are overburdened. Where there could be one faculty for, a ratio of 1:40 or something like that. They are, overburdened also and underpaid also. Second thing that I felt from this case was we will never realize the potential of our resources unless we scale up.
Yes.
So scaling up is a requirement for every institute or a business or a firm. Unless we scale up, we will not realize the full potential of our resources. So these were just 2 of my thoughts also that I wanted to share with the group.
And Janaki,
Yes,
this
sir.
discussion is a collegial discussion.
Hmm.
Even if something hurts me when others make comment, we should take it in stride because we are trying to learn. Number one, it was a government organization. But believe me, government was having problem. Rajiv Gandhi had problem. They have no resources, and they said we cannot give resources for building infrastructure. So we stuck at 30 because we could not construct building. If you can't construct building, you cannot grow. And then you recruit faculty because faculty is available. So economics and quantitative method faculty is available. So you recruit them. disproportionately. Out of 18 faculty members, 4 were economics, 4 were quantitative methods, and 2 marketing, 1 business policy, 1 finance. So what happened? On one, you have lopsided faculty, which has no work, not utilized. On the other hand, you have some faculty who are overloaded. This situation coexists. So what happened? Believe me, government, we may blame anything, but one thing. Abid Hussain Committee made a strong recommendation in 1987 that that was ISA review committee review. Abid Hussain Committee, high power committee, reviewed IC, Indian Council of Scientific Research, 100 labs, and they said they are turning out to be white elephants, not contributing anything to society. And why should not they be asked to generate resources themselves? Why should not the Regional Research Lab Cuttack and Regional Research Lab Bhopal be wound up, which have spent 7 crores and they have 100 manpower? So I took that report to my director, who was unwilling to increase intake, so many constraints, so many lack of infrastructure. I said, if tomorrow Ministry of HRD asks, I am Lucknow, you have 30 students and 1.5 crores. Why not distribute these 30 students to IIM Ahmedabad, Bangalore, and Calcutta? Find up IIM Lucknow and say 1.5 crores. So my director said, Kiki, if I was secretary, I would have asked this. You are vice chancellor, you are director of the institute, and drawing salary of more than vice chancellor of a university. So why should you work? You are overpaid. You are not being accountable. That is why you are comfortable living with 30 students and you can roam around 5 days a week, that is away from Lucknow, roaming around anywhere. You have no work. I said, if it continues, Rajiv Gandhi is running into problem. So Janki, I'll tell you something very interesting. This is highlighted in the case, fun of case writing. And then a professor impresses upon next director every day. Why can't we increase intake? Why can't we increase intake? And director definitely wouldn't like, even I would not have liked. So one day, she appointed a new PGP chairman, you do it if you want. And in 4 months' time, the intake goes from 30 to 100. 4 months' time. Something which was a job of 4 months, 4 years has passed. Thermometer, Ahmedabad, 27 years had passed, they had not increased a single seat. All Indian Institute of Medical Science had not increased a seat in master level from 1964 to 2007. Is this leadership? Is this leadership? All Indian Institute of Medical Science, why you established? You never looked at it. Your mandate was not only treating patients who come to your doorsteps in the hospital. Your mandate was to create infrastructure so increasing levels is updated. 27 years, all that Mr. Modi says today is true. Institutional organization has lost sight of why they were created. So they never increase intake. And they always 1 LB, 2nd LB, 3rd LB. But Janaki, one more thing. If you go to how it was done, you'll find 13 days were introduced. 13, if one of case writing B. Each one daunting task. Arrange faculty, arrange dining hall, arrange library, arrange classroom. Everything is to be arranged, arrange hostel. Everything is to be arranged in 4 months. Was it a task of 4 months? No. The report was written in 1988, in which complete details were given. If we had to increase one more section, two more sections, what is the incremental increase in infrastructure will be required? And this fine calculations people don't do. I'll need marketing faculty additional. I'll not need proportionate increase in faculty size. Don't need any quantitative methods. I don't need any economics faculty for going to 300, going to 200, going to 100. But I'll definitely need classroom. I'll need dining hall. Dining hall you'll need. When you're going from 30 to 100, you'll need. No, we'll split the time of dining. So in the same dining hall, 100 people can be accommodated in 2 batches. What about computers? Computers? Are you going to create computer center in 2 months' time? No. Hostels? No. Hostels, we are anyway having rented houses as hostel. We'll rent out we'll take some more houses on rent. But what about computer center? Computer center is not required for first year. DBS Lotus and what star. Just PCXT is enough. We'll put that PCXT in the kitchen of the house that we are taking on rent. Now, my computer center head got really wild. You are going to put this high-tech equipment in a kitchen? I said, it's not kitchen. It was constructed as kitchen, but not being used because the students are living there. But computer requires no air conditioning there. I said, this computer does not require air conditioning. PCXT, professor, tell me what is the temperature it can withstand? I said, I have created this computer center in Bank of Baroda. It can withstand, suppliers claim it can withstand 40 degrees temperature. Now, first year students, when they come, they don't start using it right away. From the month of July to March, our session is there. April, May, June, when the temperature shoots up, students are not there. So I can manage computer need by PCXT only, not create and expand computer center, a huge cost of mini or mainframe computers. So 13 major things were to be done, which you identify 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what is required. Hostel, no, I'll not construct. I'll take houses on rent and expand. Anyway, we are having students in rented houses. So like that, first you list out what are the resources required for incremental increase in intake or any strategy. And they say, for going from this stage to this stage, which resources will be required and how much? Janaki, painfully I'm saying, please don't quote me outside, I'll be misunderstood. We had 30 students. In 1989, we had gone to 105. Government was so happy that while they were not releasing in the non-planned grant, which means even our salary was jeopardized, half of the IIM's budget to IIM Lucknow itself and said, go ahead, construct the campus and move to the campus. Now, the campus was for 120 students, new campus. Now, we could have moved from 100 to 220 when the new campus was constructed. That is in 1993, we should have been 220 intake. We needed just 6 faculty members, nothing else. Instead, to justify that nobody questions, we demolished the old campus brick by brick. Janki, this is happening in the country.
Yes, sir.
Now I find the use of SM. SM formulation is not enough that I want to increase one more section. What all will be required, detailing of that is required. And very precise detailing in terms of time frame. And this is not the time to speak out everything, how this was done in IIM Calicut, how your own faculty development program is started in IIM Calicut. You will see in the case is a small, beautiful F. There was nothing. There was nothing. No money, no faculty, no infrastructure. In fact, Janaki, today I find you can do the less you have resources. If you have no resources, you are most disadvantageously placed person. You are not disadvantaged. Janaki, I am finding my whole concept of strategic management is getting topsy-turvy. Is availability of resource is a constraint or non-availability of resource is a constraint? Janaki, I would like to have your response on this. Is resource availability is a constraint or non-resource availability is a constraint?
Sir, I mean, in context of all that you have said, sometimes when there are no resources, you think out of the box. And
Absolutely. This thinking
yeah,
out of the box is the essence of SSM.
correct. And
Otherwise,
sometimes when there
any
are extra resources or resources given before they are needed, as in the case of, as is been discussed in the Hanuman case, they are underutilized.
they are
So,
underutilized, and if this is happening with human resource, the staff, the faculty will go by Janda or high promotion do, high promotion do, high promotion do. An idle mind is devil's workshop. So never recruit anybody extra. You are recruiting services the person, not the person itself. So when we were going for online program, physical infrastructure was not there. So we said, do we stop growing? Because land is not there. I can't make building. So I can go for non-residential, which means residence is not required, but the faculty is required. But since the class is not being conducted here, we can get experts from outside online program. So there is abundance of faculty in the country who are willing to conduct class online. So I don't have problem of faculty if I conduct program of online. So we solve the problem of land being constrained. We solve the problem of faculty not being there by switching over to online. That is genesis of online program in IIM Calicut. Please, SM fascinates me because this is the only subject which says if you have nothing, doesn't matter. If you have nothing, doesn't matter. If you don't have brain, it doesn't matter. Believe these days I'm facing a crisis of my life. No, nothing that I do is justified by experienced persons. तुम पागल हो गए हो क्या? मैं नहीं पागल हो गया हूं, 7 और लोग भी पागल हो गए हैं जो बैठे हुए यहाँ पर. अगर 7 लोग सुनने को तैयार है तो कैसे कह सकते हो तुम पागल हो? लेकिन आप लखनऊ में नहीं है, आप लखनऊ में नहीं है, आपका कोई इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर वहां का नहीं है. लैपटॉप है जिसमें स्पीकर काम नहीं करता है. ये लिया मैंने फिर एक नया टैब. I'm going to throw away laptop also. Just tab is enough. And this is where Ajay, Brian Christo, last time you suggested to him something. What was that? This will enlighten faculty members to break away from the existing and do something totally new, which is not happening in the country. Yes, Ajay, may I solicit your response to what you told Brian Christo at my residence?
Sir, sir, can you just once again recollect this incident with Brian that you want
We
me
were
to come
having
in?
tea and
Yeah.
coffee.
Yeah.
And you asked Brian Christo,
Yeah.
how many institutions you know in Kenya?
Yeah.
And what he said, I know a good number.
Yes, sir.
And then what did you say?
So I said knowing is not enough. From how many institutions can you actually solicit this response, and whether you will be in a position to get what we want conducted or not? Because just knowing is not going to give us the desired this thing, whatever we are interested in. If we are interested in holding a conference over there, even that is not going to make it. Until and unless we reach the end, we'll not be in a position to know as to what we know. Yes, sir.
Shiv, do you remember you had made a proposal?
Yes, sir.
We should open FDP for when you were
Sir,
in South Africa, when you were Africa.
Kenya, yeah.
No, Shiv was also there.
Yes.
And here says, should not we open this FDP for
people in Africa and the globe.
Yes. 8
Yeah, Shiv,
faculty
go
members
ahead.
who are sitting today, if they muster the course SM, and we get 4 more persons, 12 persons, we can have 2 weeks FDP for our African brethren. And we can tell them what is India. And with connections there, they will tell what is my country. A totally different thing may start happening, which is not drawing attention of any of the leading institutions in the country. India can make a mark by moving into education sector of the countries which are less developed than India.
Sir, can I add something? In 2020, in 2022, we organized one online program, Academic Leadership for Sustainable Development Program, which attracted participants from many countries from Africa. It was completely online, 12 days and evening session 2 to 3 hours. And we have database of that available also. Many management faculty, institutional leaders, they attended. If you think something connecting SM for everyone or SM for sustainable development or emerging economies, global south or something like, I would be happy to initiate and design from here and support it what the way you like us to do it. And rest all the team members can join and it could be very good program.
Great, Shiv. Who is this you are referring?
We all.
We all. 8 faculty members. If Shiv alone can conduct a program, 8 people together, what all they can do, does it occur to us? And that is why, Shiv, I'm running around going to Sri Lanka, running around going to Maldives, running around to go to Nepal. Nobody is bothered about them. MDSA is struggling, but the moment you make it costly affair, either you'll seek funding or you'll ask the participants to pay, and neither of them works out. So this MDSA university run into problem because there is no budget and the university becomes fiscal. Honestly, I want to tell Jayashankar, why you have physical university where you have to appoint and sanction 5 crores? Not required. So Shiv, you are not alone. Ajay is not alone. 8 of us can take a lead and launch something and do something which doesn't require anybody's permission, only participants' permission. If they are willing, if I am subscribing to Zoom meeting, I have to subscribe every month. Okay. Whether I use it or not use it. So Zoom becomes a liability for me rather than an asset. So if I use only 4 Sundays, 3 hours each, 12 hours, for which I pay 1,200 or 1,400. But if you people think, as per the experience of Ajay and Shiv, if you can think we can do something for our less fortunate brethren, then it will be extremely useful contribution from India. And don't make it typical subjects. As I said, self-realization that we have resources at our disposal. We don't realize we have resources. This kind of thing you don't know. Brian had told me his country is not very costly and there's a very scenic beauty there. So I said in our annual convention, let's attach a visit to his country and let the participants know that country physically. So mutually symbiotic relationships can be developed. So a lot more can be done. It's just a question of our inability to tie up loose ends of the resources for a particular institute. Tarun, back to you. Back to you.
Okay, sir. Okay. I believe we need to just have a thought more on some of the perspective. One is when we talk about resources, there are two parts. One is the manifested part, so kinetic and potential part. Since we talk about human resource, so
Tarun. It's a very fascinating thing which my daughter told me last year, and I added it. One is apparent resources, the other is operant resources. I have 5 faculty members, 4 of them don't work. I have 2 faculty members who work. Which is more strong? I have 3 machines, 2 of them don't work. 2 machines which work. Which organization has more machine strength? So you have raised a very valid point. It's not just having faculty by head count. It is their competence and also willingness to deliver that makes them operant faculty. And this is where I'm very happy that you brought out this point. I had not to push in. Very good. Basic problem is how to push the people to express their potential. Only Jamvan said, Hanuman, you can cross the sea. And Jamvan could not cross. But he was able to convince Hanuman, you can do it. So here are faculty colleagues supporting each other. We can do it. I cannot do it. You get the point? And unfortunately, this concept of cooperative strategy, what we are discussing right now is cooperative strategy. And in all the literature, we get only competitive strategy. So cooperative strategy is more voluntary, coming from heart. Is not coming from how to grab somebody else's property. It is there where SM Forum had distinguished itself. It was a cooperative strategy being followed, where sacrifice was the model. As a faculty, I'll not accept honorarium. As an institute, I'll not charge regular rates for hostel. I'll not charge for the classroom. As an institute, a sponsoring institute, we'll, even if you don't pay journey expenses, at least 1 week leave I'm giving for him to attend. So everybody was contributing only. And that is why we were able to do something which we were not able to do all by ourselves in any of the IM, however big or small it might have been. So keep in mind, Professor Ajay, Professor Shiv, Professor Tarun, Professor Janki, Professor Subui, if 5 of us you start thinking how to do it, if 6 of you, 7 of you start thinking, and if Professor Bang is there, he says, if nothing, if somebody requires a certificate, I'll give a certificate from RV Institute of Management. If certificate is not what people would like to. So 8 persons are enough. Believe me, 8 faculty members can move the mountains. I was alone in IIM Lucknow. And when I was pleading, my director, my institute itself was hostile. So we were going to different institutions where people agreed. So 8 of you are Hanumans, which nobody will call. So
All.
We, as resources, instead of becoming assets, we may become liability someday. Resources underutilized will become liability. Take it. Resources utilized will become. Imagine if we do one program where participants from 10 countries come and their faculty members. Next time you can conduct program from those faculty members for India. What is my country? Which today we cannot have. So how to dramatically reduce cost, improve and enrich the academic activities. Bete, I'm sorry to say my health conditions are not good enough. Every day, I don't know what point of time I'll be okay. I start sinking all of a sudden. So I will not be able to sustain too much all by myself. But if you people get churned up, I'm doing something for the country, which even the Prime Minister cannot do. Then you get excited. Oh my God, 8 of us sitting in different parts. Shiv is sitting in Rajkot, Sabu is sitting in Aligarh, Janaki is sitting in Surat, Tarun is sitting in Delhi, Ajay is sitting in Lucknow, I am sitting in Bangalore. Geographical boundaries notwithstanding, we can do a lot. So this Hanuman, you can do a lot. You don't know you can do a lot. You know, Janaki, Are Shiv, don't mind. What is the status?
It's
What is the status?
by Tuesday you will be receiving.
Okay. Now, Janaki, we had Gujarati translation of the book.
Yes, sir.
Work was complete. Work was complete. But then she realized that some editorial corrections are required because some people used Google Translate and some sentences were not framed properly. So he's redoing 6 cases you had already edited. And what edited, you have redone it. So likewise, she was trying to do for the rest 44. And we'll definitely have this Gujarati version. Now imagine, Janaki, if Gujarati version is there, if you want to use some case, we should have someday a case where people from different parts of the country are participating. Tamil person is reading Tamil version. Kannada person is reading Kannada version. Gujarati person is using Gujarati version. Hindi person is using Hindi version. And they are talking and discussing in very, very intense way. It is possible better. Do you think Krishna Kumar could translate Gujarati? Do you think Krishna Kumar could translate Tamil? No. It is this power of this country. You name the language and there are at least 1 crore people. Everything. The power of mass.
And sir, we are integrating this year for BBA and BCom courses also as a study material.
Please don't forget, the program quality also depends upon the course material that we use, which is understood by the students, not any course material. So collectively, 8 people can take care of the course material requirement of their respective institutions. And when people find the experience which they can see, I would not have been able to talk like this if I had not seen the batch size increasing from 30 to 100. If I had not seen 64 faculty development program taking place where none was taking place, I would not have been convinced. Now, these things, unfortunately, are not in literature because nobody has seen the hidden strength of India. 140 people. There are 100 SM faculty in IIM itself. If they write one paper and start circulating among themselves, that is most cited paper in Indian context on SM. But we are not realizing that. Doesn't matter. Tarun, sorry for repeatedly disrupting you, but I think maybe today, when I was feeling half-hearted because our friend Pranam Dev is not well, uh, uh, something meaningful will emerge. Yes, continue.
Yeah, I believe so. The point which I was trying to communicate is that the resources have some part manifested, some part which is yet to be manifested. So it requires a condition to
Yes.
discover. And for discovering this condition, we generally require two things. One is some constraints, because until there is a constraint, you will never try to think in a different manner to create a solution. And second one is an overall ambience with some long-term process thought through a leader, which propels people to do that. But another point which I would like to say is human resource. In this case, we say that look,
8
90%.
leaders, 8 leaders, 8 leaders, 8 leaders.
Yes, sir.
8 leaders are here.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So what I'm trying to say that in human resource, obviously we could extend or stress to a greater level because we do know the word called capacity or the can, which is a difficult thing to gauge for human. But for other resources, it may not be infinitely stretchable or greatly stretchable. So it requires some more rationalistic view to plan that how many resources you have. And rather, the right way of planning may not be how many resources you have. Right way of planning may be what is the process to convert those resources into capability. Then you find out that this is the minimum benchmark and this is how many resources you
Yes.
require to propel things better.
Yes. 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 I'm quite sure, Janki, if any day your directors come to know, here is Janki who is saying, I'm going to add one more section. You don't provide any faculty for me. You don't provide any classroom. You just give permission. I am allowed to do it. I'll take rent, the classroom on rent. I'll take everything on rent. I'll get faculty members from all across country online. And that does not require it doesn't need to be a degree kind of program. 5 certificates, 10 certificates can make people more competent than degree. So if we are getting really returns, that is the whole one small exercise, Professor Tarun, one small exercise of increasing intake. If we had gone to 220, we would have been leader in the country in 8th year of formation. And we would not have been banking on government for any funds. And believe me, the moment you succeed, people rush help to you. So you have a sound proposal and see how it makes sense. So 8 of you, now 7 of you, join hand to say, how do we conduct a program for any country? Shiv, you and Professor Tarun and Ajay, if you can join hand to design a program and see what can be done. Now, the next case was, Tarun, I had to stop you. Can you complete your sentence and what
I
you
believe
wanted to say?
I tried to summarize in my last one. And if somebody wants to come in, because I think Sabhuji was raising her hand, she wanted to come earlier. I believe she shall.
Sir, I also want to say something.
Yes, Jadip.
Yeah. So far as the resources are concerned, when you talk about government organizations or semi-government organizations, because I am working in a state university in Surat. So
Yes.
as a government organization, I don't think there are some constraint in part of the resources. And within those limited resources, we could achieve anything. Because I was given an opportunity to work as a registrar of the university. So in 13 months, I could achieve many things, whatever resources available to us. And not only that, if you have sound projects, sound propositions, you have good intentions, I don't think there is a constraint in terms of resources. Recently, we have received 100 crore grant from the central government in PM USA based on our projects.
Okay.
So in that case, the resources are not constrained. Maybe if you are having that kind of plan, maybe you receive whatever resources you require. The only thing is in terms of implementing and getting the things done, that is more difficult in case of in a state university.
Dr. Sabui, you like to add, respond to Professor Jaideep?
Yes, sir. I was just, whenever I read this case, Hanumans of India, I really, on one hand, I'm amused and I'm also inspired because we all, most of us are a part of government systems and private institutions. There are different kinds of constraints. And as Dr. Tarun had rightly pointed out, you know, constraints trigger those innovative and creative solutions, and it helps us think out of the box and come up with, innovative ideas to address those constraints. So, in a way, I feel that constraints are good to a certain extent, and it does trigger our brain cells and creativity to think of out of box solutions, and which can do wonders, right?
Yes.
What I had been thinking all along whenever I read this
Just
case.
1 minute. A
Yes,
word
sir.
thrown by Dr. Janaki is coming up to me, resounding, out of box thinking. Now, out of box thinking is not required in everything. Only
Yes,
when
sir.
you get stuck with some insurmountable problem, then say, could there be some out of box thinking way of solving this problem? So, not for every resource you need out of box thinking. Where you are stuck, then you can
Exactly.
think of out of box thinking. It's a very useful submission has come from Dr. Janaki. Now carry on.
So
Yes.
that's what I was saying, sir. In case of intangible resources like human resources specifically, we just don't know the limits to which we could stretch them up or scale them up. So I was just wondering if there's anything that would help us, realize what is the optimal level of which they can be, stretched or they can be utilized. Because from scale from 30 seats to 240, 260 intake with just the same number of staff members. Like, how do we realize at the outset that this could be the number that, that is feasible for faculty strength of 24 or say staff strength of 30? So, like, what guides us so that's something that has intrigued me all along, and I was wondering if you could shed some light on that aspect, because recently also there had been a lot of debate in the national
Yes.
media about Mr. Narayan Murthy talking about increased number of hours for working hours, that is at least at least 70 hours, and then there had been a lot of backlash to it and a lot of uh, pro and pros and cons attributed to it. So how do we? And he himself he said that he works 88 to 85 hours, but then there are consequences to overwork, and so how do we put a limit to these intangible resources? Like, where do we
Very good.
stop?
Very good question, Dr. Sabui. And would anybody like to respond to her? Jaideep, any submission from your side?
Sir, one very
Jaideep,
good
any
case.
suggestion? How to,
Sir,
yes.
if I can relate to one another case about this optimal or utilization of resources to their potential is Aravind Eye Care, sir. When the national average was 200 surgeries, they were performing 800 plus surgeries per doctor in a year, and they could bring in the entire ecosystem around.
Exactly, Apollo Hospital.
Yeah, even the Apollo Hospital.
Your Dr. Bang Sabui, it's a very interesting thing that has emerged. One is how to optimally utilize resources. If you read the case of Apollo Hospital, there was one doctor who performed more than 300 bypass surgeries in a single year, creating a world record. And when you go to Apollo Hospital, you will understand how the structure was designed so that he could perform 300 bypass surgeries. It's very interesting. And in Calicut, what I was saying, the system support to people who have critical abilities. So if somebody comes, I mean, I give a very uh, uh, rubbish example. That is, if it goes to the extent teachers goes on writing on the board and there's a peon sitting there who knows when to rub, when not to rub, so that the teacher's time is saved from he keeps on using the board and this attendant keeps on rubbing the board. Now, I found, and I take pride in that, there was no cashier when there are 300 PGP students in Calicut. There are only 4 regular staff members in accounts department. And my my CEO, Mr. Kunnikrishnan, did not have a stenographer or a typist. And whenever he asked, sir, I need, you don't give me secretary, you forget about secretary, you don't give me a typist. I said, मिलेगा मिलेगा थोड़ा सा इंस्टीट्यूट और बड़ा होगा मिलेगा तो जब तक नहीं मिलता तब तक मुझसे काम चला लो whenever you need typing assistance just call me give me a ring I'll come. So a lot depends. In team game, the baller doesn't make the person out except clean board. Run outs are there, catches are also there, which is not by a virtue of baller only. So it is a team game. It's the collective effort which will say, wo aapne busy hai. And that brings to another very important thing. Even in conducting classes, can you conduct class as a substitute for another faculty member spontaneously? Impromptu. We had Dr. Ajit, our director. Due to some flight dislocation, he was stuck in Patna. Sent a message through his secretary, can you ask Krishna Kumar to conduct this session for me? Are tell me the topic. Topic is this. And Krishna Kumar has to go and conduct this session impromptu, knowing only the topic and making sense to MDP participants. Now, this program, which I said, first module is this. There are 4 modules. If we as a collective had gone through 4 modules, everybody knows 4 modules. If one is not able to conduct class, another person will enter. Second person is not able to do, third person enters. So you see, all of a sudden, you need, if you know the subject, you need to spare only 1 hour to conduct the class. If you don't know the subject, then there's a problem. So a lot depends upon the supportive system that we develop for critical resources. So I found the same design of organizational structure was in Apollo, which I found in Park Study Consortium Hospital in Barcelona. So it is possible, Dr. Sabavi, up to 300 I have tested. But if I want to increase intake to 3,000, then what do I do? We thought there are no faculty. It's a strange but true. But to what extent it was our own lack of desire to increase the intake and lack of resource, we were not able to distinguish. And if our desire is not there, we tend to develop excuses and alibis to justify that. So don't worry, Professor. 7 of you, 8 of you can conduct a program which at present others cannot do. So that is why I said all that you find you may compliment me, but this is not true. I have been bugged with one problem all my life. There was no, I did not never get an option of not doing, which we call Hobson's choice. I have to do it. I have to get it, come what may. And therefore, if normal way is not working, alternative solutions are to be found. But option of not doing that doesn't exist. So if the Pranam Dev today is not coming because he's having high BP. Now for listening, you don't need high or low BP. So are you going to teach others or you are going to learn through this grip? The purpose of this program was program by faculty, of faculty, for faculty. We are not going to pass on our reservoir of knowledge to you. We are trying to learn from your reservoir of knowledge for our purpose. Maybe one point that Janaki gave, if you get stuck with some constraint, then you have to do out-of-box thinking. And this has come out very emphatically. Likewise, Shiv and Ajay have brought to the point of internationalization. Now, even SM Forum is not thinking of internationalization of SM Forum. We use the word internationalization a lot. International study, everything. But we never take a step outside and say how it looks, how the world looks. But it is possible. So don't worry about Tata Sabui. Physical infrastructure. I learned from the case, there was a Singer machine case, international manufacturing company. When Japanese found this service network of Singer machine was the order that they cannot duplicate a distribution system and after-sales service network. They said, my machine will not fail. So buy it. If it fails, I'll replace it. So if you say, this problem is that I don't have resource, I don't need resource. Today I was going to demonstrate one site has failed. That is, if you want, you can straight away download the case and read. And in 15 minutes, if the Sanuman case was available in English and Hindi, you don't need to distribute the case copies. You don't need infrastructure for xeroxing, bookbinding, everything. Everything is available on the spot. So today, the breakthroughs, the way they are coming, one after another, we can give up a lot of physical infrastructure that was required. Financial resources, it looks very difficult, but someday I'll tell you the trick of how to generate, how to mint crores. But even more important is how to make people, Hanuman, how Hanuman, you can do it. Tarun, what you said, how to make operand resources. And I was looking forward to HRD to make Hanuman work.
Yeah. KK sir, I have another scheduled meeting at 11:30. So
Never do it. Never do it. You are not come here to teach others.
pardon,
Have you
sir?
come here to teach others or to learn from others?
No, we are here to learn from each other. So.
How could you schedule another meeting? You knew it. That is why a very brute line I had written. Everybody feels that he knows all, nothing new to come. How do you know what is going to come in the next session? Don't mind my words, please. Don't
It's okay,
mind my
sir.
words because otherwise you get offended and it will really, you will go. How the discussion will continue.
Sure, sure, sure.
If one by one, all the from this discussion group go, who will be listening to what others are discussing and what they discuss. If somebody is trying to help you out generating or getting some knowledge and you are not interested, why the other person should spend time? Next one is going to come, which you will not find in any of the current books on SM. And that is dynamics of strategic management. Okay, Tarun, thank you. Sorry, I'll not hold you because everybody has some pressing engagements.
Thank you
So
everyone.
now we are
Thank you,
safe.
sir. Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you.
Continue or should
Okay,
we
Tarun
abandon?
ji. Thank you for your deliberations.
Mhm. Thank you.
Jadi,
Thank you, KK sir. So we are meeting again in 5 minutes or how many?
No, in case people are interested, with 6 people, we meet. Okay. Right now there are 6
Yes.
people. Anybody else who is engaged? Then let's, okay, Sabui, we can always talk to each other on that topic. Sabui, Ajay,
Yes, sir.
and Shiv and Jadip. Someday we'll discuss on case is a small, beautiful F. If others are not keen to benefit from this case, why waste time with them? We'll have meeting together on some day, some hour, and finish it. Okay. So let's say goodbye for now, and maybe whenever convenient to us, meet us there.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
But
you, sir.
the problem
Thank you
is,
so
Thank
much.
you all.
Thank you, everyone.
problem is we cannot dream. Thank you. But the problem is, this way
Shivji,
we'll never be
what
able to
sir had
commit
suggested,
program
the
to outside.
internationalization of FDPs to
Ji.
South African countries, we can work on that. That's a wonderful,
Then let's catch up and we plan something and we take it forward.
absolutely.
Who is speaking? Sabui,
Sorry,
other
sir?
than you, who is speaking? Eh?
Shiv.
Other
Shiv,
than
Professor Shiv Tripathi.
No, not Shiv Tripathi. Somebody else is also speaking.
I was asking Professor Shiv Tripathi to carry forward what you suggested, that is internationalization of FDB programs. So he was responding to that, sir. Nobody else was speaking.
So maybe Ajay ji, if you can circulate an email with this title and all interested can connect and we can start planning. So
absolutely.
We design a program and online version, and also there can be there is a suggestion you can think of. One is like few sessions of SM for that is one thing, online program. Second, it could also be a sort of
okay, fine. I'll just connect with it. I'll circulate that mail. Yeah.
And there could be another part, Ajay ji,
okay,
that could be very interesting. Yeah. If you can link a case writing initiative attached to this program, so that the faculty member and their respective country context, they can drive as an optional part. So that could be engaging, and those who complete, they get a certificate. We have also one organization, Education Alliance for Sustainable Development, which was in partnership with Government of Gujarat. So we can also try to extend, and if anybody wants to join or extend support or logo support, all are welcome.
Fine. I think there are two areas which we require. One is this specific formulation, and then obviously the implementation. The implementation, I think we require Brian, who's already there, about which we've been talking, and obviously you are there and I am there. So maybe we have also to go ahead and understand the marketing part, so that we are able to go ahead and concretize it. Yes, we start off with the first part, and then we go ahead with the next one.
My suggestion is based on 2022 experience. We launched online campaign and we got 300 participants worldwide for 54 countries. If we do a social media marketing, and we will also use the database that we already have of those who are interested. So even if a cohort of 20, 30, if we can start this year, next year it will be multiplier effect.
Okay, fine.
Absolutely. Yes, yes.
Go ahead with it.
So maybe we can catch up
Okay.
separately and work on it, and then we can brief KK sir about it and take his advice and suggestions. So that some spade work is done, and then we reach out to him. Otherwise, he'll be exhausted unnecessarily because we keep on planning and we don't.
Yes.
If we don't, do it sincerely. So
That's
it's really nice
so.
meeting you all after so
Sabuhi,
long.
Ajay, and Shiv, and myself, we four commit, and also hopefully, and maybe Tarun and Janki also join. Hmm. Yes. Hmm. All the
Fine, sir.
best.
I'll circulate that mail.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay,
Thank you all.
Thank,
Thank you,
thank you,
Suburi. Thank you,
everyone.
Shiv.
Thank you.
Sir, KK sir, has he left?
Jaydeep ji, I think he is there or he is in the process of leaving. I think
Okay. No problem. I'll
he
call
is
him
left. He's
later.
out.
No problem. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.